The Thule Society and these people channeled, and again, I've mentioned this before, and there's various individuals that are doing things that I consider very damn dangerous, such as people like Dr. Fred Bell. And he opened up some astral gates using advanced scalar and sacred geometry. These are dangerous. If you play with fire, you're going to open up rents. And that's what they did when they did the Philadelphia experiment. That's what they did when the Nazis opened up these astral gates, and they let these astral vultures and parasites come through this gate. Most of the technology that the Nazis got was through channeling. It's not all a good thing. You should be aware that when you're playing with fire, you may well get turned into a cinder. Okay? So they were seeking stargates. In fact, part of the reason why they invaded Iraq was they were looking for the ancient stargate that was actually at the ancient museum in Iraq. And there's another stargate that's in Iran, which is one of the reasons why they want to get to Iran, because there's another stargate there. They understand this technology of sacred geometry, and these monsters, these idiots, want to open more stargates. Because they get more channeling and more technology and more converse with these entities, they gain more power. That's why when you look at the technology and the writings of people like Blavatsky and the Theosophists, you say, these people were like Harry Potter. They're occultists, Kabbalists. Look, the Kabbalists, the Kabbalah of Babylonia is simply a use of scalar technologies and sounds to summon astral entities. They're no different than warlocks. Let's call it what it is. They're just warlocks. And they might say it's good, but it's not. What evidence that we're not alone in the universe? Well, there's a real picture of a U.S. Air Force tunneling machine. Now that's really old technology. The stuff that I talked about with John Fiala, who's good friends with Phil Schneider, the ones now are tunnel at 120 to 140 foot rock face and go 12 to 14 miles per day. They can either make a matrix city or they can make a unidirectional tunnel. And these tunnels literally lay an inner core, the obsidian, and then they put an inner core that's locked down with a maglev track in it. They vacuum them out, and these tunnel trains actually are traveling at Mach 2.0 to 2.8 underground between places, so they can cross the United States in less than 35 minutes. They connect all the major parts here. They go underneath the oceans. They connect all over the planet. And when Phil was actually going through one of these tunnels with John Fiala some years ago, many years ago, they broke through one of these tunnels. It just turned out that the tunnel they broke through was already cored and built 300,000 to 500,000 years ago by another civilization. God knows what kinds of creatures, whether they were inhabitants of Earth or visitors. But our world is a very old world. And the very idea that somehow we're only 6,000 years old is asinine. Human beings, to believe that we're living in a young universe is absolutely ridiculous. And if you actually look at the genetics, and I'm a scientist, but I also am a spiritual person, and I synthesize the two together because I call them the two witnesses. And if your mind, which is sharp as a razor, and your spirit, which is open and flies like a dove, if you have the two, you will truly discern the truth, but you need to sharpen both. Probably human beings are somewhere between 500 million to several billion years old. We're probably originated on an ancient star system long, long gone, or stars that have long gone supernova. So, well, I don't know. Listen, let's put it this way. Our civilization started trying to clone human beings in 1927. That's the Nazis. They succeeded in doing some occasional clones in 1957 and were very efficient at cloning genetically engineered super soldiers in the Moscow Institute for Biological Research in 1982 with Russian and American scientists. These soldiers, their plan was to actually create super soldiers that would have the genes transplanted for the muscle M zone, so they'd have to accident myosin of the most powerful mammal known, which is a jackal. So they could run at 30 to 35 miles an hour and jump 20 to 30 feet, carry a 300-pound backpack, and literally rip someone's heart out with their hands. And super fast reflexes that are beyond the range of normal human capacities. They're planning on creating these super soldiers, so our people who are listening, who are special ops and Delta, should realize that they have an operational plan, and I've got all the documents. It's called NBIC, Nanotech, Bioinformation, and Cogno, to replace humanity with a super being and to literally just keep us in the dark while we just die off. Well, I'm here to say they're liars, they're thieves, and they're going to go. And we need to start extending human lifespan, healing our children, stopping cancer, stopping heart disease, and we need to stop this idea of allowing them to think that they're going to control human reproduction and turn us into a obsolete species, because we're not. We're made in the image of the Most High God. We don't use a billionth of a capacity of our current being and our nature and our spirit. We don't use it at all. Whether we're healing or we're creating intention to create, gardens or worlds or healing our bodies, we don't use a billionth of our power. And I saw this. And because I've been gifted, there have been people that I have prayed over that have been miraculously healed. Like Mark Taylor, who was the first kid shot in Columbine. I came into the hospital 3 weeks after I saw him, and I put him into the Littleton Porter Hospital. And 3 days before, I told him, I said, you're going to call me in 3 days, and you're going to be in agony because the antibiotic I've given you will organize the abscess that they missed at the University Hospital. I told the radiologist exactly where to put the catheter because I'm a medical intuitive. And he did. The radiologist went on a CT scan, put the catheter in, and 3 weeks later he was walking around with a PCA pump with fentanyl, and he wasn't getting better. And they said, we're going to have to cut out 4 ribs, and we're going to pack your chest open in the ICU, and you have a 25 to 40% chance of dying in the intensive care unit. So he cried and cried, and I prayed with him. I said, God, you're going to have to come through now. And our God is God. That's just like Nebuchadnezzar had to say to Daniel. And I say to you today, like Daniel, who's been in the lion's den, in with these bastards, in with these reprobates, like the Attorney General's Office of Colorado, the Board of Medical Examiners, the military, the Air Force. All these people would threaten me when I wanted to take care of our troops based on the idea that they were exposed to dangerous vaccines and depleted uranium. I am not afraid of you. I'm coming for you. And I'm coming for you not to harm you, but to give you the truth, because you're going to die first. You are actually sealed with the seal of death, because the sealing of the Most High God, the sons and daughters of the Most High, is about to start very soon. And that sealing process, if you don't understand this, it is going to seal you with the death that's coming with the end of this age. It's coming very, very soon. Anybody familiar with this picture? First contact. You just look at what are the goals of the old world disorder. Well, a fully integrated consciousness of all individuals on Earth, a hive mind, casts of genetically engineered nanotech and biologically enhanced transhumans. And they're already doing psychotraumas. A lot of the media, including I call Hollywood, is actually trying to psychotrauma you because they have this all planned. Most of the people that are writing these scripts and so on are feeding it from the NSA and above government agencies, and many of them are channeling this from other entities that have malevolent intentions against humanity. So don't think channeling is all good. It's not. Indications that such a culture will be subjected to a higher alien society with evil intent toward the individual nature of man, freedom of creative and deterministic thought, and promulgation of true electronic cage of mankind and consciousness. And they're doing it. And the biggest thing that I call the devil, or if you want to call it the devil-like societies or these, quote, ETs, or I call it IFEs, identified fiendish extraterrestrials, you should realize that they're not imaginary. They aren't. Sorry. The tiger that you don't believe is a tiger that can eat you. Because he'll still lick his chops after he chews you up and swallows. Is there evidence that the New World Order is alien, transdimensional, demonic? Of course it is. Every religion in history has known this, but somehow our society, being very Cartesian, doesn't know it. To their own detriment and to the laughing hoodwinking of the globalist morons. Even George Bush, just because he's a moron, he happens to be of the bloodline, so he knows a lot of these things, and he's kind of laughing at us, even though he's an idiot. Project Omega, conceived by the Nazis, and George Bush Sr., by the way, isn't an idiot, neither is his son, Jeb. They conceive these things because Project Omega literally is doing it, and they've advanced treaties that have done unbelievable things. Yes, do we have off-world bases? Of course we do. We've had a parallel space program since 1963. We have been doing parallel launches from Vandenberg Air Force Base here in California.